and I too am very honored to be gathered here today on the territories of the Okanagan Nation and the Sinixt people. Grateful to be with all of you here on the lands today. Grateful to be with so many of the people who have worked so hard throughout the years to get to where we are today with the recovery efforts here in Grand Forks, and I know that there's still lots more to do. As we all know too well, BC has experienced an increasing number of emergencies relating to our changing climate. From intense wildfire seasons and extreme heat events to devastating spring flooding like those that were experienced here in Grand Forks, as well as storms in the fall and freezing cold in the winter, we know that we must take bold, decisive steps to prepare people for future disasters and to keep communities safe. The role of this new ministry, Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, that I'm so proud to lead, isn't just about being good at responding to or even responding to and recovering from disasters, but also about preparing for and mitigating the impacts of disasters before they happen. The 4,000 people of Grand Forks know exactly how scary these climate emergencies can be. Every spring, it seems like the entire community is on flood watch as you nervously eye the waters of the Kettle and Granby rivers. And then summer's scorching temperatures arrive, and worries turn to potential wildfires, drought, and health concerns related to extreme heat. Everybody here remembers May 2018, when the two rivers surpassed a 200-year flood level after a week of high temperatures, followed by 3 days of rainfall, which caused a rapid melt of that winter's heavy snowpack. Several residential, commercial, and industrial neighborhoods were evacuated, and 38 heroic rescues were made by either boat or by helicopter. A social impact study of the 2018 flood aligned with what we know about climate emergencies, that certain groups, notably Indigenous peoples, women, the elderly, disabled people, low income, homeless, and vulnerably housed people, are even more adversely affected by these populations than the general population. Affected by these events than the general population. That is why my ministry is in the process of understanding and addressing these equity gaps so that we can empower local decision makers to assess these risks and build even more resilient communities. Despite the devastation, what was most optimistic and heartwarming about the 2018 flood was the strong community spirit that shone through. Through all of the uncertainty and the tensions, there was a community bonding led, in many cases, by local women in business, leading the way in bringing Grand Forks together. That same study called local women in particular a beacon for others in the flood response, and I cannot tell you how proud that makes me feel. I want to emphasize just how committed we are to recovery and resilience in Grand Forks, and we are grateful for the cooperation of Mayor Everett Baker, City Council, and City Hall staff. In response to the 2018 floods, the province has invested more than $34 million in recovery and mitigation projects here in Grand Forks. That total includes the more than $1.7 million that we are announcing today will go towards the North Ruckle Floodplain Naturalization and Habitat Offset Project, which will greatly reduce the risk of future flooding. Grand Forks today is one of 63 communities that will be sharing $44 million for disaster risk reduction and climate adaptation projects in this round of investments made possible by province's investment in the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund. We watched with dread during those anxious days of May 2018. And I know that many of the same feelings came back just 2 months ago when the rivers again spilled their banks. But thankfully, because of the hard work of the teams right here in Grand Forks, the flood defense efforts that have been made possible since 2018 have protected people, houses, and businesses from untold damages during this spring's freshet. We all have a lot to learn from our recent climate emergencies across BC and here in Grand Forks. We have a stronger emphasis on early risk identification, avoidance, and mitigation, and we're focused on greater collaboration between the provincial government, First Nations, local governments. That includes our friends here at the regional district of Kootenay Boundary. We will continue to learn from past emergencies, build our capacity to be more resilient in the face of future emergencies, and prepare for, avoid, or reduce their risks. And what we have seen accomplished here in Grand Forks so far is just one incredible example of how important that work is, how much that work matters, and how much it works. Thank you so much for being with us here today. We are going to be here every step of the way. We know that there's still more work to do here in Grand Forks and in many communities right across the province. And unfortunately, we know that with the changing climate, we are likely to see these extreme climate and extreme weather events continue on into the future. And that's why we have to work together. We've got a lot of work to do. Thank you.
Thank you. This afternoon, I'd like to thank the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness for making the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund available, and in particular Minister Ma for coming to Grand Forks to meet with us. We have a strong partnership, and I'm very proud of that partnership. Grand Forks is a good news story. Grand Forks Flood Mitigation Program is designed to be a cohesive system of measures. The earth berm dikes, the sheet pile walls constructed under the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Funds are just one part of that system. This additional funding under the Disaster Risk Reduction Program will allow the completion of a habitat offsetting area in North Ruckle directly behind me. The position of these dikes in North Ruckle are designed to allow room for the river to overflow during high water and spread out beyond the river's normal channels, slowing the flow through the areas and reducing the hydraulic pressure on the dikes protecting the downtown core. The habitat offsetting areas created a channel for the river to overflow when needed. Also to offer year-round habitat area for fish and birds, including 2 species at risk here in the boundary, the speckled dace and the Lewis woodpecker. The offsetting area also provides educational opportunities in regards to these endangered wildlife and will be an amazing addition to the natural amenities and trails around that you find here in Grand Forks. The mitigation work began undertaking in Grand Forks has already shown success. As I said, Grand Forks is a good news story. As evident by our economic recovery in our downtown core over the past few years, we are most thankful for the additional work on the Habitat Channel that will be available to be included as part of the construction process. The residents of Grand Forks have shown great resiliency over the years. We have seen floods, fires, pandemic, even some grasshoppers. The residents of Grand Forks have shown that they can be resilient in dealing with the aftermath of the 2018 flood. I want to express my appreciation to the province, especially to Minister Ma and to the Premier and to all her colleagues back in Victoria. Thank you on behalf of the City of Grand Forks.